This is the story of a legend, a machine built to challenge giants and redefine speed.
The 1964 Ford GT40, a historic masterpiece destined for a complete overhaul.
Our mission, to resurrect this classic to concours perfection, frame by frame.
First, a deep, comprehensive assessment of every component. Nothing is left unchecked.
Beneath the iconic body lies a surprisingly complex, stressed monocoque structure. Before any wrench turns, every angle and connection must be meticulously documented.
The journey back to glory starts with the simplest, most crucial first removal.
Removing the front lighting assemblies reveals the intricate inner framework.
The engine cover, the famous clamshell, must be detached with utmost care.
Decades of grime coat the legendary heart of this Le Mans challenger.
Next, the cockpit, stripping away the faded upholstery and old racing seats.
Every vintage gauge and switch must be extracted for full refurbishment.
The electrical system is the nervous system. Old, brittle wires must be replaced entirely.
The specialized saddle fuel tanks are crucial to the GT40's unique weight distribution.
The complex racing suspension is completely dismantled for component testing.
Taking apart the vintage racing brakes, they require total renewal and modernization.
The momentous lift. The engine and transaxle unit is ready to be separated from the chassis.
The V8 heart is extracted, a landmark moment in the restoration timeline.
The structure stands alone, ready for the painstaking process of metal repair and strengthening. The original white paint is chemically removed, revealing the metal underneath.
Blasting away years of hidden corrosion and imperfections in the metal.
Even on aluminum, deep-seated micro-corrosion must be meticulously addressed.
Precise laser measurement confirms the original geometry and structural integrity.
Structural repairs begin. TIG welding for clean, incredibly strong metal fusion.
Skilled hands reshape the aluminum body, returning it to perfect factory curves. Replacing rusted or compromised sections with fresh, high-grade steel replacements.
Applying professional seam sealer to prevent any future moisture ingress and rust. Ensuring all connecting body points align perfectly before the final priming stage.
Focus shifts to the motor. The engine is placed on a stand for a full performance rebuild. Removing the cylinder heads to inspect the combustion chambers and valves.
Pulling the pistons, assessing the wear on the rings, rods, and cylinder walls.
The vital component, the crankshaft, checking for cracks, scoring, and balance. The cast iron block is chemically cleaned in an industrial-grade washing bath.
Rehoning the cylinder walls to ensure the perfect crosshatch pattern for piston ring seating.
Restoring the valves and seats to factory-perfect compression sealing. Installing the new, forged performance pistons into the V8 block assembly.
The meticulously balanced crankshaft is lowered back into the engine block. The polished crankshaft is
The sophisticated transaxle must also be fully disassembled and checked for wear. Replacing worn synchronizers and bearings for a perfectly smooth, powerful shift. Carefully resealing the gearbox with fresh gaskets and aerospace-grade sealant.
Back to the body. The chassis receives its first coat of specialized epoxy primer.
Hours of block sanding ensure the body surface is flawlessly straight and true. Applying high build primer to fill any microscopic imperfections left in the metalwork.
A meticulous wipe down with solvent removes all sanding dust and contaminants. The shell enters the sterile environment of the professional downdraft paint booth.
The iconic ermine white paint begins to coat the historic curves of the GT40.
Layer upon layer builds the depth and brilliance of the final, defining finish.
The paint is baked under controlled heat, bonding to the metal for maximum durability.
The clear coat is wet sanded to remove any minor surface imperfections and orange peel.
The final stage of paint refinement, bringing out a mirror-like, blinding reflection.
Back to the V8. Installing the rebuilt cylinder heads and timing chain.
The famous cross-flow intake manifold is attached, completing the top end of the engine.
Fitting new, period-correct accessories, water pump, alternator, and pulleys. The engine and transaxle unit are carefully joined together, ready for reinstallation. The complete drivetrain unit is lowered back into the freshly painted chassis structure. Rebuilding the racing suspension with all new bushings, bearings, and polished arms.
The specialized coilover shocks are installed, giving the GT40 its characteristic low stance.
Running new, custom-bent steel brake lines throughout the chassis for maximum reliability.
Installing the restored, period-correct calipers and ventilated racing discs.
The restored fuel tanks and new racing fuel lines are installed and connected.
The new, cloth-wrapped wiring harness is meticulously laid out and routed, connecting hundreds of wires to the restored gauges and switches in the dashboard. Installing the sound deadening and the first of the newly fabricated aluminum interior panels. New black leather is professionally stretched and stapled onto the seat frames.
The iconic black riveted racing seats are bolted permanently into the cockpit.
Fitting the custom-made, period-correct low-pile carpet throughout the cabin. The restored Smith's gauges are permanently fitted into the main dashboard panel.
The vintage 3-spoke wooden steering wheel is reinstalled on the steering column.
Refurbishing and installing the classic racing pedal box for throttle, clutch, and brake.
Restoring the tiny, complex internal door mechanisms for smooth, reliable operation.
The iconic roof-cutting GT40 doors are precisely aligned and attached to the hinges.
Fitting the new, crystal clear laminated glass into the door and windshield frames.
Attaching the final, highly polished chrome trim around the glass and air intakes.
Installing the front radiator and the intricate network of water pipes to the rear V8. Fitting the essential mesh screens and vent covers for optimal engine cooling airflow.
attaching the iconic quick-release racing fuel filler cap to the white bodywork.
The moment the car receives its official identity, the GT40 nomenclature.
Mounting the period-correct center-lock racing wheels and high-performance tires.
The car is lowered from the lift. It stands on its own 4 wheels for the first time.
Essential fluids, oil, coolant, and brake fluid are added and checked for leaks.
Connecting the lifeblood. The power is supplied to the freshly wired electrical system.
The first flick of the key. Checking the gauges and electrical systems are all operational.
Priming the fuel system. The distinct sound of the pump pressurizing the lines.
The countdown. The culmination of months of dedication and meticulous effort.
Ignition. The legendary V8 roars back to life after decades of silence.
Tuning the engine for a perfect idle. Adjusting the carburation and timing.
A quick rev of the engine confirms the massive power waiting to be unleashed.
One last high-detail polish of the entire white bodywork to remove any smudges.
The chief restorer meticulously inspects every rivet, every screw, every curve.
The body panels are securely latched. The GT40 is whole once more.
The moment we have all waited for. The GT40 is ready for its shakedown run.
Gently rolling out of the workshop and into the sunlight for the very first time.
Its low, aggressive stance is an intimidating, powerful sight of automotive history.
The V8 engine delivers a staggering burst of raw, unbridled power.
The characteristic thunderous note of the GT40 V8 echoing down the track.
Pushing the handling limits to ensure the suspension is perfectly dialed in.
This machine once dominated Le Mans. Today, its legacy continues.
More than a restoration, this is an act of preserving a defining piece of history.
A dedication to precision, detail, and a reverence for the golden age of racing.
The 1964 Ford GT40, resurrected, ready for the next 50 years.